So, as a practice, we believe in design as a fundamental conservation technique. Our work at the Museum of Edinburgh is a good example of this approach. Located at the foot of the Royal Mile, directly opposite the Canongate Kirk, the group of buildings which today make up the museum once formed the historic core of the Canongate Borough. They're the largest group of urban buildings of their age surviving in Scotland, and together they present a unique physical evidence of the evolution of the Canongate over 4 centuries. However, these are not buildings which belong to Scotland's aristocracy. On the contrary, they present a picture of borough life for all people. Generally dating from the late 16th century, the buildings incorporate a mix of both earlier and later work. In the 1750s, they comprised roughly 18 individual dwellings, housing a broad mix of people, including the Dowager Duchess of Huntly. The site shows how medieval buildings, erected on long, thin, tenemental strips of land sloping down to the Canongate, evolved into a traditional mix of dwellings and small businesses, enclosing a private street or close, and also incorporating stables, a byre, gardens and orchards. And here too also there was a well and a brewery. Historian Dorothy Bell suggests re-examining this weave in terms of today's cities. The front properties were bought by the council in 1924 as part of the slum clearance scheme, and Sir Frank Mears was tasked with finding a use for them. His vision of the new museum opened as the Huntly House Museum in 1932, but unfortunately did not incorporate all the original buildings surrounding the close due to the world economic crisis and issues with an adjacent firewood factory. Physically separate, Aitchison House is a particularly outstanding example of a large early 17th century Scottish townhouse built in 1963 on top of previous structures of the Scottish Secretary of State's Archibald Aitchison. It was bought from the council by the Marquess of Bute and restored by Robert Hurd in 1935. And subsequently leased first as a man's and men's offices for the Scottish Crafts Centre. It was bought back from Bute in 1995 with the intention of achieving Muir's original vision, but it continued to lay empty due to lack of funds. To the front of the site, number 142, existed as a separate public house for 80 years until 1969, when it was amalgamated with the museum by Ian Linton. The Museum of Edinburgh houses a large proportion of city-owned objects. Edinburgh's extraordinary history is one of its main strengths, and the very fine collections relate to its industries, its urban development, and its citizens. The city appointed Benjamin Tyndall Architects in 2004 to lead a feasibility study into a major upgrading and enlargement of the existing museum and its grounds. Keeping the existing internal room layout as far as possible, 3 external gestures are proposed. As the Museum of Edinburgh, the building requires a significant entrance to give it a physical presence on the Royal Mile. A gabled facade is proposed across the front of Slater's Court to complete the streetscape, and at chosen moments a series of painted doors will spring open to reveal scenes within telling the story of Scotland's capital. Behind the striking facade, Slater's Court is the obvious place to provide a welcoming space and is also flexible enough for events. Like the museum displays, it will have a combination of old and new, displaying both architectural fragments and providing information on the city's museums. At the southern end, a connecting bridge between Aitchison House and Hammerman's Land, as originally proposed by Frank Mears, is essential for accessibility and to provide an efficient circulation route around the building. The transparency of the bridge will assist in orientation, and it will be supported of a cantilevered concrete base to avoid using the original buildings for support. In 2010, funds were identified to allow the first phase of work to proceed with help from Registers of Scotland, for which I was project architect. The ground floor reception areas were upgraded and a significant new link created between the museum and Aitchison House, leading to a new audio-visual exhibition. The new access proposed from Slater's Court has also been achieved. Careful research into previous alterations allowed reuse of blocked-up openings and re-exposure of interesting features. Historically appropriate materials were specified, and existing material kept where possible. Slightly imperfect historical finishes were retained and imitated where appropriate. The shop's external appearance, layout and fittings reflects this property's historical use as a pub. An original cast iron column was re-exposed, opening up the rooms to the street. And alcoves mimic recesses, and decorative beams have been picked out with historical street cries and translations of external Latin inscriptions by Susie Lieber. Similar artistic flourishes are apparent throughout the museum, including wallpaper lining the waiting room, comprising photocopies of interesting documents. The galleries were also upgraded in conjunction with museum staff. And downstairs, the new AV presentation charting the growth of Edinburgh is projected into a recess in the slate floor, walls hung with cloth, to both create a theatrical black box and protect the original fabric. Whilst the first phase was under discussion, Edinburgh World Heritage Trust decided to lease some of Aitchison House, giving them a central position in the World Heritage Site and bringing activity back to the old building. Original 1930s brass lights were reused and the beautiful existing decoration has been retained and enhanced by the new finishes. The exact original external appearance is unknown, although there are a great many good quality early photographic images and some remaining physical traces. It's clear that the buildings were hulled and lime-washed and plastered with paper notices, but unfortunately the early 20th century work created an anti-Carolyn image, and in recent years the buildings have been misleadingly decorated as a single building. In the recent works, the spirit of the 18 properties has been expressed in the treatment of the external facade. The bold colour is based on a traditional lime pigment, while the red refers to the council connection, chosen as a traditional colour. Two entrance courtyards have been brought back to life with historical planting and box hedging, with restored lampposts. Our built and proposed designs for the museum attempt to get to the historical soul of the buildings, and then use this understanding to create something worthy of the building's new purposes and an incredible historic setting. Phase 1 has been successful in raising what was a 2-star to a 4-star attraction, and the next phase is in discussion.